Okay, let's use our color palette to create this big butterfly card. Let's start with gathering your inks, blush, pink, citrine, tropic, and emerald. Then you're going to need your ultra smooth cardstock. You'll need the Big Butterfly stamp set. You'll need a block. You will also need the crystal confetti, which is in your box. Okay, you'll start by gathering your 8.5 by 11 cardstock, the white, and you're going to cut it in half, 5.5. And then you're going to take half that and cut it 4.25 by 5.5. But I actually take about an 1/8 inch off of that. The reason why is I like to leave a little edge around the front of my card for the layering. Now fold that in half just to create your base and really burnish that well. It'll keep it nice and folded. And then you're going to layer that piece that you cut on top and just set it aside. Now I'm using a stamp tool, the Stamp Misty. You can use a block. These are super easy. These are large images, so they're actually really easy to line up. And even if you don't line it up exactly, you're going to cover it up with some vellum, so you'll be okay. But go ahead, take that top part of the butterfly wings and make sure your stamps are clean. Sometimes I leave ink on them. I try not to, but it happens. Ink up that image, and then you're going to press it down firmly. And there you have the top half of the butterfly wings. Then you're going to move on, clean off your stamp first, and then put it away. Gather up the bottom half of the butterfly wings. Okay, drop that in place and carefully make sure it's lined right up to the bottom edge of the top wings. Make sure those stamps are cleaned off. I always use a microfiber cloth. And then take your blush ink and tap that around and press down. And sometimes with the lighter inks, you'll see a little variation, like where the stamp pad. So just go ahead and ink that again to get that nice even coverage. And then clean that off. And now we're going to move on to the base, the body of the butterfly, and stamp that with the Tropic Teal. Press down, and then you're going to use the little lines that are meant just to give it some added dimension and texture, and stamp that using the Emerald ink pad. And I love how Tropic and Emerald play so well together. Sometimes people don't realize how nice those two colors work together. So they are really great layering colors. Then what I do is I actually cut out the wings on the base of the cardstock, and then before I stamp the feelers, I actually cut out the base of the body. It's a little bit easier this way. So go ahead and run that through your die cut machine. Okay, now that you've die cut those, just pop those out and set them down on your foam. And then go ahead and actually die cut the vellum sheet. Okay, now you have the top layer of your wings. And this is where you're actually going to stamp the detail. And this, we're going to first get those little feelers, antennas. I'm not sure exactly what they're called, but you get the gist. Stamp that with the peach. And this is just to add a little variation, and when it's all done, just the combination of colors is really fun together. So take your vellum, and then you're going to use the top layer of the wings. And actually with this stamp set, you're going to notice that you'll need to cut that apart. It is a little error in the production, so just go ahead and take some scissors and cut that. Then stamp that in embossing powder and emboss it. And I'll show you the embossing process on the bottom half of the wings. So you're going to line that up. And what's great, and the reason we separated this, is so that you could do the top wings in red and the bottom in orange. Like there's just a lot of versatility in splitting up the stamp image. So go ahead, take that vellum, sprinkle some white embossing powder, and grab your heat gun and heat set that. And if you haven't embossed before, it's a very easy process, and I'll actually provide a link for a how-to just in case you're new to embossing. We have a fun little tutorial on our website. And if you notice, we are using our new embossing pad in this video, and you will love it. I can't wait until you guys can get this in your hands. I'm hoping in the next few weeks, so keep your fingers crossed. Okay, now you're just going to layer up the wings and then center the body. And then I always fold up the vellum a little bit just to give it a little bit of dimension on the card. Now, next thing I want to show you guys is one of my favorite things to do is use greetings to create backgrounds. It's just a fun way to use those greetings in a different way. Now, attach that to a block, a clear block, and what I want you to do is kind of place that butterfly over the card so you can see where you don't want to stamp. And you're going to put the majority of the greetings towards the top and the bottom. And I love to stamp in these spectrum colors because you can layer and without it looking weird. You'll see what I mean. So your hello friend is a little darker and it's going to layer over the other hello friend. And because the color variation, it's really fun. And it's okay for it to look a little bit messy. You're creating a background, not necessarily a focal point. Now to do the bottom, I always actually stamp the bottom piece first because I don't want to go down too far with the tropic. So if I stamp the emerald first and then move upward with the tropic teal, you'll get a better result for your background. And then you'll center your butterfly on the middle of the card, give it a little dimension by bending the wings, and then just add some foam tape. Now we'll go ahead and just add some finishing touches. So attach that to the front of the card, and again, I love to use foam tape. It's kind of addicting. Once you start adding dimension to everything, you just kind of keep doing it. And every time I don't use it, I tend not to love the card as much. There's something about that little extra dimension, especially when you're doing white on white, that just really helps it pop. Now let's just add a few of the crystal confetti. And now you have to have a little bit of patience when you're working with these types of products because they like to stick to your fingers and a lot of things. So I do recommend grabbing some really tiny needle nose tweezers. These I've had forever. I do think they carry a similar brand. I will look for a link and share that with you. Hopefully I can find one. And then I do love the two-way mono glue. And just attach those down. It pretty much dries instantly. And there you have a cute, fun, dimensional card. Now, one thing I love and I want to share with you guys, and you'll see this, we're going to show this to you a few times throughout all the videos, is how to make your own envelopes. Our cardstock actually is a really great weight for this. It's not too heavy and it's not too thin. So you're going to cut your cardstock 8 inches by 8 inches square. And then you're using the We Are Memory tool. You're going to line it up. Now make note of this somewhere. You're going to line it up at 3.5 inches and then punch and then score. Then you line up the score line to the little tab and score and punch again, all the way until you get to the last corner. Then you'll take each corner and put it through the little tab, punch at the top to round the edges, and then you'll fold that up. Now this makes a standard 4.25 by 5.5 inch card, but I do have to tell you that if you follow the instructions on the We Are memory board, unfortunately they're inaccurate. So please make sure you write down on the back of your board, you need to cut your cardstock 8 by 8 square and then use the 3.5 inch score line. And be sure you use a strong adhesive, and then I always use my bone folder to really burnish that in place and get that to stick. And then pop your card inside, and you always have a matching envelope that is perfectly color coordinated. And sometimes it's fun. We have a fun little washi tape with our colors on there, and you can just use that to seal the envelope if you're not putting it through the mail. And there you have it, a fun little card and matching envelope.